back live tonight here on In Focus, and thanks for staying on. The MK Party has halted its planned picket during tomorrow's Judicial Service Commission sitting. The body is set to begin a 2-week process of filling 21 vacancies in various courts. The party yesterday lost its bid to interdict the meeting after another court barred impeached former Judge President Dr JP Hlophe from partaking. MK Party spokesperson Ndlela joins us now for more on that. Mpemba, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time this evening. You say in your statement, on further reflection, you've decided to delay the picket at this particular point, or delay any protest action until a further date while you're pursuing all legal remedies available. Firstly, what were the points of reflection that would have led to that decision?
Look, MK Party, as we've always said, is a party that will operate, and whatever decision that we take have to be within the legal framework of the country. And that's that. So we looked at political avenues as well as legal avenues, and we've come to the conclusion as per our statement.
Yeah. Why do you believe that there is still a better chance of you resolving this matter in a legal platform, or pursuing a legal platform would yield better remedy than protest action at this point?
Look, we don't want to be destructive. Like I said, as per our statement, we're going to follow the law, and the law is what presides, and we need to follow the letter of the law. Yeah. And if it means that our posture demonstrates to South Africans and South African voters that we are focusing on what must advance the party and the agenda in terms of exposing this legal system, then so shall it be.
Yeah. So does that mean, in your reflection, do you still hold the view that the JSE going ahead with the meeting, that decision was irrational, even though the courts are saying it was absolutely rational, because they were merely, of course, sticking to what the court had ordered. It's not their decision, really, to have made at this particular point.
Look, and I think I've said it on numerous occasions that which judge would want to participate in a process that is, quite honestly, tainted, and then you're appointed as a judge and you find yourself having to preside over matters as a judge, appointed of a blemished process. I would not want to be participant to any of that. And remember that judges ought to be beyond reproach. But if it means you're going to be appointed off the back of a process that is questioned, what stops South Africans from questioning you and your judgments as a judge?
Right.
When you are actually, quite honestly, appointed unconstitutionally.
Interesting, because the spokesperson for the commission says, no, the process is going to be interviews like normal. There's no dark cloud on this. This is going to be an interview like all other interviews that the judges have conducted previously. The sitting is properly constituted as per the court order. So there is no dark cloud that you're talking about that would be on top of whoever is appointed through this process.
Well, this is unprecedented. Let's be honest about it, right? There's nothing that we did not follow in terms of the law and in terms of the parliamentary process that allowed for Dr. Hlophe to be, one, nominated and democratically appointed to participate in that by way of a vote. So you can't come and then say that off the back of an ad hoc process that is facilitated by the DA, off the back of what's called morality, and then say that he is not eligible to participate. He's allowed to participate. He's a member of parliament. He's been nominated off the back of a vote that led to MK Party to be the official opposition.
Yeah.
Where is the issue? And remember, this is a man that, in effect, is going to participate and preside over interviews.
Yes.
This is not a man that's going to make a decision in terms of who becomes a judge. No. The Constitution gives the president the power to dictate and appoint whoever he seems competent enough
Yes.
to be whatever court judge as per the process.
Yeah. But don't you think that is the process that you are engaging in, and it should then be seen through? If you are appealing, yes, appeal that particular process. But the JSC itself, which did not oppose, by the way, was saying we are willing to abide by the ruling of the court, was not the one infringing on the rights of Dr. Hlophe.
But if you look at the sequence of events, right? The sequence of events state the following. The sequence of events state that this is clearly, from where we're sitting, very well planned. Because if Parliament, based on the Western Cape High Court judgment, that Parliament must then preside over whether they truly applied themselves. And remember, Parliament has got and it draws its powers and privileges from the Constitution to appoint a member of Parliament to participate in a commission, in a committee, whatever kind of structure that it has, that, it cannot be questioned. It's within the laws of Parliament. So that's the first point. The other point is, even if Parliament was then given the responsibility by the Western Cape High Court, as is the case that we're faced with right now, at what point were they going to preside over the matter when Parliament is in recess? No one is there. And remember, the National Assembly needs to sit and preside over the matter. Let's not forget that when you nominate someone to sit in the JSC, you don't have an alternate. Because for you to bring an alternate or someone else to represent MK Party, that being the case, it has to go through a sitting of the National Assembly.
Right.
When was that going to happen? So that's why we're saying that this was truly planned, surgical, and quite honestly, you can tell that there was a level of collusion here. And we hope that's not the case.
Collusion between?
When it comes to how this happened.
Who would be colluding?
Well, numbers don't lie, formula doesn't lie, outcomes don't lie, and hence the outcome that we're faced with.
Yeah, but
I'm saying,
you've got to be specific. You can't just say there's collusion, because that means you're just tainting everybody and saying they have colluded. You have to be specific. Who is colluding?
No, but who are the participants?
Yeah.
But who are the participants? The participants are the DA. The DA knew very well that if they launch a case at this point in time, and it takes 3 weeks for the bench of the Western Cape High Court to come to a determination of a judgment, a week before the sitting, what can you do?
So the DA colluded with the National Assembly. National Assembly colluded with the courts.
Well, you never know with this GNU and what happens, right? These are the same people that actually impeached Dr. Hlophe with the sitting government, with their friends of the Cyril Ramaphosa ANC at the time.
But in your statement, you commend the judge who sat on this interdict application. You're saying he was a breath of fresh air in terms of how he conducted the process.
I think that's where you're missing the point. I'm not talking about Judge Wilson. I'm talking about the bench that sat in the Western Cape High Court that came to this determination.
So it's the bench at the Western Cape High Court. You think that would have been part of this precision planning of excluding Judge Hlophe from participating in the interviews?
I'm saying to you that there's a case that was brought to them off the back of a so-called case of morality, which is a political one. and determined off the back of a democratically nominated and appointed person within a commission. That is a parliamentary process. To bring issues of morality, courts should not make a determination on morality. And this is exactly why, as MK Party, we are saying that we need to change and maybe, to a great extent, look at overhauling this constitution. And let me tell you why. Parliamentarians are decision makers in the form of laws. We are elected from our constituency, off the back of our manifestos, off the back of our people's mandate to determine laws. You can't have a judge or judges or a bench of judges changing the law to suit political agendas. This is what's happening here. We are saying, we are lawmakers. We have drawn from the same constitution that so-called parties such as the Democratic Alliance, democratically so is questionable, then want to question what ought to be a democratic process of appointing and nominating a person to participate in their right role within a commission. Why?
Well, I'm not the one qualified to discuss a debate on judicial law and moral law. I suppose that's what the Western Cape High Court is going to do, have the debate. For me, it's just to find out from the challenge that you're saying you're going to be bringing. Are you looking at challenging the outcomes of these interviews that are going to be carried in the next 2 weeks in the absence of Dr. Hlophe? Or are you talking here of a legal remedy to the Western Cape High Court situation?
Look, what we need to do here is that we need to operate within the law. That's the reality. We have a constitution that we have to abide to. We are law-abiding citizens as a party. And we need to look at every single avenue available to us. But what we're saying is that I, for instance, would not want to be interviewed off the back of a commission that, quite honestly, infringes on other South African people's rights. To not have a person that represents them to interview who presides over the laws of this country. So if I was a judge, I would say, but this does not make sense to me. Why must I participate and be interviewed off the back of a blemished process? No.
So from where you're sitting, you're saying
and then expect South Africans, whose cases you're going to preside over to respect you.
I'm saying from where you're sitting, are you saying you can't guarantee that if a judge is appointed through this process, you might not want at a later stage to challenge that appointment?
Well, let's look at it this way. The outcomes of whatever that review process is, it could state clearly that this process was unconstitutional. And then what happens? If you're a judge that's appointed, are you constitutionally appointed, yes or no, is the question. And have you got the right when 25% or a majority percent of the people that voted democratically for Judge Hlophe to participate in the right person to represent or implement the law? No, is the answer.
There is a technicality of saying, well, as this process is continuing now, the JSC is properly constituted. So there are actions of what they will do now, because Judge Hlophe is not taken out as a candidate for that. He is just absent through justifiable reasons, and the reasons being a court order. And so that process is constitutional. It will never be brought to question.
No, but we need to look at issues of substance over form. Participation versus being present. Those are two different things. You can be, present off the back of the law, but are you participating in representing the South African interests? That's a different issue.
And so you believe his absence means what exactly to this process?
The ability for South Africans to have their voice heard in interrogating whether these judges, as per the constitutional section, whether these people are actually fit and proper. And who better than a competent person such as Dr. Hlophe to actually interview these individuals?
What is your next move then, as far as this matter is concerned? So I suppose that's what many people are looking to hear. What is your plan of action? Now that you're here, you've delayed the protest action until further time. But what is your immediate plan of action?
Well, here's the reality. When you nominate a person and they're appointed, you don't have an alternate person to replace them. That's just the structure of the process. And that's why I'm saying that you can tell that this was very surgical, because at the point at which the judgment came out, a week later, you are expected to be represented in a sitting to interview the judges. So, and even then, it's in the middle of a recess. If we even wanted to, we can't, because even the parliamentary laws don't have an alternative person for us to even bring on board. This is what South Africans must know, because we've been asked many times, well, why don't you replace Judge Hlophe? How do we replace Judge Hlophe when the prescripts of parliamentary process and privilege do not allow us to even bring an alternate? Who are we going to replace him with? How? Take in consideration that this thing, as you can now tell off the back of what I've just said, that it was surgical, it was planned, knowing very well that we won't have an alternate. What do we do? What do South Africans do? What does MK Party do besides its rightful rights being infringed upon?
All right, let's leave it there for tonight. Thank you very much, Mpemba. We appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. That's Nklamulo Ndlela there, spokesperson for the MK Party.